Not because this has anything to do with the exhibition or anything. This is just above my appetite. Late to a full yoga class / full Southwest flight. You've never seen such sour faces on people as they move their mats / submit to you sitting beside them. The half-hearted shuffling, the exaggerated sighs, the turtle-like shifting, the jerking, graceless movements even as they try not to jerk. This is a yoga class / democracy, for God's sake. A way of being based in heartfulness / equal rights for all. I sit down and hate them all as the teacher / flight attendant guides us through the preliminary meditation / emergency procedures. As we begin to move, I direct my hate toward showing them all up / hoping that the plane crashes.
And from there we go to war. Well, this was a poem I wrote when there was that short war between Lebanon, Hezbollah, and Israel, when there were some soldiers taken. Anyway, this is a poem from that time, and it's called Una guerra. Abundantes de miedo clavan los dientes a cuanta paloma pasa.
Abundant with fears, they nail teeth into every dove that goes by.
Me entregan sobres sin nombre,
They give me envelopes with no names.
con ojos y pelos de otros.
The eyes and the hairs of others.
Abro la boca para el grito, pero salen solo líquidos negros de piedra.
I open my mouth to scream, but only dark stone liquids come out.
Manchando las fotos familiares que nos sacamos juntos.
Staining the familiar pictures we took of us together.
Dicen que es la única forma,
They say this is the only way,
pero el aire solo trae sangre.
but the air they breathe just brings more blood.
Y acá, metidos ya en hoyos, mezclados con la saliva de lo que no dijimos, acá estamos, cosidos al enemigo, ese que duerme en nuestra casa.
And here, entombed, mixed with the saliva of what we didn't say, here we are, solemn to the enemy, the one that lives in our own house. This is another one that we without the translation. I'm from the South, and funerals are when the family gets together. I was 3 when I attended my first funeral. It is now part of family lore that when I crept toward my grandfather's casket, I asked, is he wearing shoes? Next was Lucille Edwards' wife. Young, lung cancer, not one cigarette had she ever smoked. Summer, church smothering hot, women squalling. It must have been around this time when I asked of no one in particular, when will I die? My mother's father's passing is clear to me. I was 9. My father left the fields, leaving his wife to her grief. Years later, when my grandmother died, my mother's bitterness like burning iron scorched the air. Where were you, God? Where were you? I was 18 at Cynthia's wake. She was my grandmother's baby sister. Vain, lazy, demanding. The long months after Cynthia broke her hip, Ma waited on her tirelessly. Not until I stood in the foyer of the funeral home and heard the relieved laughter of my uncles did I realize that everyone hated her as much as I did. I've grown to like funerals. When the soul has become but another obligation, a chore for the obedient, low over the rubble of the heart, some blackbird flies as the shovel troubles the ground. And I, like a grave robber, grateful for the dark of the moon, stagger off with the comfort of unconcealed suffering. Bill was a teacher. A week before he died, I saw him. He spoke tenderly of trusting children to know their own needs. Next day in awe, I wrote to him words of praise for my elder, my deep respect. I sent it off right away. Meanwhile, his heart failed on the beach, and he slipped through the arms of his best friend into the other world. I walked in where his body waited, met the eyes of my widowed aunt. She didn't say hello, she said, "He got your letter." Then she asked me, "Honey, what am I going to do?" The dark earth lay open for Edward. With the side of my shoe, I broke the clay and listened to it fall and thump his casket. The cemetery crew went to work. As they tidied up, a girl about 6, her mother trying to hush her, cried out, "Is he in there? Is he in there?"
Now this is a poem about the nuns, the work I do with the nuns. And this exchange we do, how I bring them fabric and patterns, and they return all these marvelous things that they make. And how this exchange and this going and the conversations through this opaque window, how also it does things to my own persona, to my own mind. So it's called Cuarto de Pájaros.
Room of birds.
Bellezas en capuchos, en sopas de convento desaparecen, con un sonido de campanas y pensamientos en rezos de golondrinas.
Beauties in bloom and convent soups disappear with the sound of bells and thoughts and swallows' prayers.
Esas manos mueren Dios en días de libros mojados y linos con agua de rosas.
Those hands move the threads in days of wet books and linens with rose water.
Todo queda fuera de ese cuarto de pájaros en el amanecer.
Everything stays outside of that room of birds at daybreak.
Yo también quedo fuera,
I also stay outside.
pero ellas me recogen y me devuelven clara y planchada.
But they pick me up and they return me, clear and iron,
Perfumada de siesta,
sweet smelling as a siesta,
para después despejarme a la memoria de unos jardines.
to unweave myself into a memory of jasmine.